Organic reach is back with short-form content kicking us into gear with 30-second sound bites. But what's the new frontier if you want to boost your online presence, grow your fan base, promote your music, and open up new networking opportunities? Well, stay tuned in today's episode because I'm going to show you how to start a podcast as an indie musician so you can leverage your show to market your music with YouTube's new search and discovery tools. YouTube's taken its next steps into podcast hosting, with 9 to 5 Google reporting some US users now accessing a dedicated podcast page in the app, youtube.com/podcast. The podcast destination page on YouTube helps users explore new and popular podcast episodes, shows, and creators, as well as recommended podcast content, said YouTube spokesperson Paul Pennington. It's currently available in the US only. While still in its beta testing phase, most of the listed podcasts link to YouTube accounts and videos of the same, with audio versions available for each, providing another way to integrate your YouTube and podcast content approach better. There's also a hint that YouTube may have plans to feature audio ads sold by Google and other partners that could present a potential new revenue stream for indie artists. So it's still minimal at present, but it's the next step in YouTube's podcast plans, which will eventually provide another avenue for building your fan base. So it's best to be ready for the official announcement of broader features and have your content ready to be pushed by the platform, similar to the YouTube Shorts Gold Rush. Here's what you'll need up front to get started creating a new podcast. A podcast name, description. Start with a pain point. Who's talking, i.e. who you are. Why should they listen? This is like the vision, heart, and topics of your podcast and is the meat and potatoes of your podcast trailer.
Do you love making music that inspires you but feel like you're constantly struggling to grow your audience? Are you overwhelmed with all the hats you have to wear, from music production to intellectual property, digital marketing, and creative entrepreneurship? Well, you're in luck. Introducing the Indie Artist Tips podcast, hosted by Geryah Dingle, where she shares her journey as a Christian indie folk pop musician and all the challenges, successes, and learnings from publishing her own music, learning about intellectual property, getting creative with digital marketing, and discovering the secrets to becoming a successful creative entrepreneur. Tune in to get useful tips and insights from a fellow indie artist. Hear Geryah's inspiring story and learn how to make the most out of your creative journey. Subscribe to the Indie Podcast today.
Who's it for? Cover art, your podcast category, and then whether or not it's going to be a clean or explicit production. And here's how to start a podcast step by step using Anchor, a free podcast hosting platform owned by Spotify. I'll link all the tools listed in the description below so you can check that out. Let's start with signing up. Only one podcast per email, mind you. You'll need to verify your email, select the category, create and upload your podcast cover image, and publish your podcast. I recommend launching with at least 3 episodes so folks can binge your content and have a real reason to subscribe for more. But you need at least 1. You can also enable your RSS feed and distribute your RSS feed. This is what's going to allow your podcast to be pushed to all the podcast platforms, and we may even see YouTube listed here in the future. But if not, you can always manually add your RSS feed to other platforms via their respective applications and portals. And just know that YouTube right now is considered the largest host for podcasts globally. And I know the subject of collecting all your royalties as an independent artist in the streaming game can be confusing. I actually made a video about all the performing rights organizations that can help you do just that. Click or tap the screen right here. My name is Geryah Dingle. Until next time, continue using your talents for good.
Running wild, every pinch stop of my life.